Welcome to Birds of Prey Sports Talk, where we weekly cover Ravens and Orioles news. We're your hosts, TJ and Jared. And in this video, we're going to be recapping the Ravens versus Chargers game that was on Sunday Night Football this past Sunday. And, just to start out with like some opening reactions, defense was incredible. They were on the Chargers all night. I mean, holding them to 10 points on an offense that has Justin Herbert, Austin Eckler, and Keenan Allen. That's incredible. And that's a very, impressive statement, and a testament to just how good our defensive coordinator, Mac McDonald, has his defense this year. But I will say one of the really bright spots of the offense was Zay Flowers. This was Zay's big game. He had the game, dagger touchdown at the end of the game, and he was just flying all around the field and was just being like a jet almost. Like you might just start calling him the jet, because he's just super fast and he's making guys miss, and he's just, like I said, he's just all over the field and making plays, and he actually wants the ball. You didn't really see that a lot from other Ravens receivers, but he actually wants the ball. He actually wants to make plays. He's excited, whenever he gets the chance, and you know, we haven't really seen that too much on the Ravens offense this past couple of years. And it's good to see that finally. And so, to kind of segue into the offensive stats here, um, not too impressive, but they got the job done. We had Lamar go 18 of 32 for 177 passing yards, one touchdown. That was to Zay. Zay, I believe, yeah, it was to Zay. Um, Keaton Mitchell had 9 rushes for 64 yards. No touchdowns. We would have liked to see him do a little bit more in this game, get a little bit more touches. Lamar Jackson himself had 11 rushes for 39 yards. Zay Flowers had 1 rush for 37 yards, which was the dagger touchdown, basically to pull us away.
I gotta ask
Just
you about that after this.
okay. Justice Hill had 5 rushes for 31 yards, no touchdown. Gus Edwards had 8 rushes for 26 yards, no touchdown. And that's about it. When it comes to receiving, Isaiah Likely had 4 receptions for 40 yards. Odell Beckham had 3 receptions for 34 yards. Zay Flowers had 5 receptions for 25 yards. Keaton Mitchell had 2 receptions for 25 yards. Nelson Aguilar had 1 reception for 21 yards. Rashad Bateman had 2 receptions for 21 yards, and Gus Edwards had 1 reception for 11 yards. So, not too much going on offensively, but it got the job done. We got to see a great game from Zay, and we got to see a little bit more from Keaton. Not as much as we would have liked to see, maybe like at least 18, 20 touches, but he did do a lot in this game. He has some really important first downs he got for us. So, yeah, let's go into the question that you had for me about Zay, I believe.
Yeah, so there was the big debate on Twitter, from some fans, and even some of the another Ravens defensive players, said that they kind of wish Zay went down on that play right there, where he really put the game away, in my opinion, and like I said, there were some fans who probably agreed. I have my side, but what is your take on that? Do you agree with him scoring, or do you agree with him or do you think that he should have went down so that we could have kneel the ball out?
I mean, why not? Honestly, why not
Right,
score? Why not have fun with the game? I mean,
right,
if you are able to get that open on a
mhm,
jet sweep play, I believe that was, why not score?
right.
I mean, it's not doing no harm to nobody. I mean, I could see if we were winning like 63-10, and we were just like being just
Dolphins, right,
yeah, we were just being unnecessary. But you know, I don't see nothing wrong with that. Zay deserved a touchdown. I mean, in my eyes, that's get back for the refs calling back his touchdown against the Bengals. So, I mean, I don't see nothing wrong with it. It wasn't disrespectful or it didn't have any impact of the game because our defense was lights out anyway. So they
right,
probably wouldn't have done nothing. So
right. Yeah, and I
I don't.
agree. Oh, I'm sorry. Finish what you're saying.
I would say I don't see nothing wrong with it.
Oh yeah, and that's pretty much where I stand on it. I know that was a big topic of discussion this past week. For on Ravens Twitter and whatnot. And I thought it was kind of ridiculous. Because I actually feel like he's kind of in a weird position. If like like let's say he scores, which he did, and the Chargers wind up winning the game, like, oh, it's like it's gonna be like, oh, it's Zay's fault, but if like let's say he winds up going down, at like the 3 yard line, and then we fumble the ball. I don't know, it was a bad snap. Lamar fumbles the ball or something. They go ahead and score a game-winning touchdown. Is that Zay's fault too? Like, oh, he should have scored, because it may have been that conversation, where it's like if he had scored, we would have been up by 2 scores, So I think it's really he's in a lose-lose predicament, but I think that at the end he gets the win just for the touchdown and the celebration he did at the end. And I don't know. I agree with you. He should have scored. I guess like some of the defensive players wanted to relax and take their pads off and whatever. But I don't understand the frustration or the like the conversation behind it in my opinion.
I mean, well, honestly, the coaching in this game, I mean, we can get into this later. We probably will, but the coaching in this game was
Yeah.
very suspect. So,
Yeah.
just giving us that extra cushion, even if there was 1 minute left on the clock, it felt good. Who knows what Harbaugh would have called if they somehow got the ball back.
Yeah,
You
let's
know
go
what I mean?
20 yards backwards 2 times in a row.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah. And I mean, plus, we missed like 2 field goals. I mean, so the score really should have been like at least
one,
one.
only one.
Yeah, so it should have been like 23-10. The final score
Right.
or something. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So I meant to ask you, I kind of since these videos are going to be separated, I kind of want to make these a little bit longer, not too much longer, but I kind of want to ask you, about the offense, like kind of, level by level, like how, like of each player's performance, like, how do you think Lamar played in this game?
Felt Lamar played good. I felt like he was frustrated with the results of a lot of plays, and I feel like, he was frustrated that he could have gotten more out of
Hmm.
some plays. And I definitely believe that, this was just one of them games where the offense wasn't really clicking, especially the passing game.
Yeah.
But I feel like Lamar himself, I feel like he did enough. It wasn't his best game by far, and it wasn't a bad game by him, but I feel like he did enough, especially in the first half. He's able to get some good first downs, able to use his feet, like how we always expect him to do in key situations.
Hmm.
And he was just able to be him, and that's enough for us to win. And it would prove that Sunday. So I think he had a pretty decent game, pretty solid game.
All right. Well, how do you feel about the rushing and receiving core in this game?
Rushing was very important. Like I mentioned earlier, Keaton Mitchell got a lot of key first downs. I remember me and you were watching this game and we were like, yeah, Keaton. He was just really, getting those first downs, really just fast. He's like his speed almost kind of reminds me of Lamar in 2019. Like he's just
Hmm.
fast, like you just can't catch him, like lightning in a bottle. So, you
Right.
know, I really would like to see more from him. I really, really would. I really want to see him get 20 touches, and I know you do too. Because we talked about this. So
Yep.
I thought the rushing game was good with him. I thought Gus Edwards, he didn't get a lot of touches, but it seemed like he had a pretty rough game. I'll
Yeah,
say it.
he didn't really have a good game.
Yeah, it wasn't just his game, but really Keaton was really turning up for the rushing game. So I guess the
Mhm.
rushing game was solid. I mean, we really did a committee with the rushing attack. It seemed like so
Mhm.
it was solid. And receiving really wasn't too much going on with the receiving. I mean,
Yeah.
Isaiah Likely kind of he had the best night when it came to receiving. He had 4 receptions. I mean, it was good to see him get the ball a little bit more. And then he was like non-existent in the second half. I don't know what was on with that, but you
Yeah.
know, I feel like we did enough to win receiving wise. I mean, we didn't drop passes. I don't think we dropped any pass at all.
Yeah.
We were sure-handed. We got the first downs, and we were good enough. So
Yeah, and I was always like, I was confused. Like, I don't know where Beckham was in the second half. Like
yeah,
after those
some
first
of
few
our
catches, like I don't know what that was about.
some of our guys just weren't schemed in. I don't know what was going on with that, but
Yeah.
that definitely needs to be fixed. I mean, we need to get those guys involved, especially
Yeah.
Odell.
Just with
So
Odell, like all the guys, like just I feel like they're adapt and like they're useful in certain situations. And I mean, they couldn't
yeah,
cover the slants, and like we stopped throwing them like after the first quarter, and the screens just really haven't been our thing this year. I don't know why we keep trying to force those to Zay. I mean, Zay 5 catches for 25 yards because he tries to catch so many screens. It's like, you know,
yeah,
I don't know. Like I just feel like the screens only work if like your running game's on point, and like, we didn't have Keith Mitchell on the field all the time. Gus Edwards, like you said, had a rough game. Justice Hill had a pretty decent game, 5 for 31, 6.2 yards per carry. But, you know, I don't know, like the screens are really getting on my nerves.
Yeah.
Like honestly, they're really getting on my nerves. They're not working. If I had to be honest, like they're not. Like we had that one play to Zay last week, versus the Bengals that worked for a touchdown that got called back, but I just haven't really been a fan of the screens. And then, that's kind of my assessment, I guess. But I mean, the last part of the offense, I mean, stuff with this dreadful offensive line.
And I just want to point out, I mean, not in our defense, but I mean, I guess maybe we didn't want to try during James. I guess we were kind of,
Yeah.
threatened by his deep ball ability, deep ball playability or whatnot. So, I mean, maybe that was it too. But
Mhm.
I still would have been nice to see the passing game a little bit more spread out.
Yeah. No, I asked you about the offensive line. How do you think they played today or on Sunday?
Offensive line, Khalil Mack was definitely getting through to Lamar, way too many times. I mean,
Mhm.
it, I just I can't even imagine how it would be like if Bosa was there too. That would have been ugly. But definitely some questions at offensive line. I've seen a lot of the Ravens flock, talking about and questioning again the heart of Ronnie Stanley, and I
Not
question it
even just
too.
the heart at this point. It's just the ability.
Yeah, the ability. I mean, it seems like he's regressed a little bit, and
A
I
little bit.
know we all understand he's had his injuries, but still, it's like he went from being an all pro left tackle, certified NFL top 100 to now it's just like he's like a rookie again. And there's definitely going to be some questions in the offseason, if we should trade him or not, or get him for some trade him for some picks or something. So
I mean,
I
what do you
think the
feel about
offseason,
that? You hear me?
what I feel about Ronnie Stanley getting traded in
Yeah.
the
I mean, what
offseason.
do you think we should do with him in the offseason?
I mean, we just talked about earlier. His cap hit is like 26 million this
Yeah.
offseason.
That's too much.
I feel like we should trade him.
Yeah, that's too much for a player who's just injury riddled, just lack of, skill at this point, and then he's getting a little bit older. So, I mean, I mean, I understand players being banged up throughout the season, but I mean, this is kind of getting ridiculous, and then, I mean, both of the tackles kind of played poor in this game, Stanley and Moses, in my opinion, and then, Linderbaum got beat early in the game, but he rarely gets beat. So, not really concerned about him at all. Obviously, he always plays great, but like I said, the tackles, Ronnie Stanley and Morgan Moses, the one thing about Morgan Moses, he's usually very good, but if he's having a bad day, it's just not good. It's like a really bad day. It's like
Yeah.
he's a test taker. It's either he gets an A or an F. So it's just
It,
not good.
yeah, and I guess it's a good thing or not really a good thing, but our next four opponents all have vicious pass rush. I mean, we got the Rams, they have Aaron Donald,
Aaron
Hall of Fame.
Donald. Yep.
Dolphin, they have a pretty solid pass rush.
You got
Um,
the Jags. They got Josh
yeah, I was
Allen.
going to get to them. Jags got Josh Allen. 49ers have Chase Young, Nick Bosa. They have a pretty vicious pass. Hey, Javon Hargrave, they have a vicious pass rush. Pass rush. I'm sorry, couldn't get it out. But we're really going to see what Stanley is made of. And if he deserves to stay here. And I would say if he has a good 4 game stretch against those teams,
Yeah, he's gonna
my
be locking these
opinion on
next
him,
four games.
yeah, my opinion on him will change, but we'll see.
I mean, he's gonna lock in these 4 games in the playoffs. Because I mean, like, how many times since Ronnie Stanley's injury has Lamar been sacked and fumbled for a strip sack at the end of the game because of a blindside hit? Think about it,
Yeah.
like the Raiders game in 2021, 2022, the Giants game. Like, what else in 2022? There's probably another one. I can't think of any right now. This year, the Steelers game, like it's constantly Lamar's blindside being hit, in a clutch situation. It's like Ronnie Stanley's really pissing me off. Like, I feel for the guy, injuries and whatnot, but like it's like there's a point where it's like, all right, like we can feel bad for you, but you really got to get off this team, So like trade him, release him. I don't know what you need. He just not does not need to be on this team next year. So that's my opinion on, and did you want me to like recap the offense or whatever and like kind of see how I felt about it?
Yeah, yeah. What was your thoughts on the offense? Just overall.
Yeah, very sluggish. They never really seemed to get anything going. I really just felt like I really feel like, the playmakers are just used in such weird positions. I really feel like they should always be used to their strengths. We don't really have a deep ball threat at the moment. Maybe Zay, But well, I got probably Zay, but he's definitely an intermediate deep threat to me. And they're using him in the short game a little bit too much, and honestly, can I be honest? Like we have all these receivers, but Keaton Mitchell should be using the short game.
Oh yeah.
Like that's the one thing that irritates me is this offensive line might be our doom, but we can avoid that if we have like the short game working. We clown on Burrow, we clown on whoever, but he knows the check down when he needs it, and I think that needs to be available more often, where it's Keaton Mitchell or Justice Hill or even Gus. Gus is an underrated pass catcher. So that in my opinion, the short game needs to be utilized better. We can't have Lamar keep getting back there, keep getting blindside hit or whatever. We've seen where that gets us. So I think that the short game needs to be utilized a little bit more. At least in my opinion. I don't know how you feel about it, but the short game needs to be used a little bit more. Lamar didn't have his best night. Gus, I think the best player on offense tonight was probably Zay Flowers, like you said, Keaton Mitchell, probably the MVPs of the offense. But I don't know. Like I just not a big fan of this sluggish offense. Thought they left a lot more to be desired, and that's just the same thing every week. It's like one thing. Like one week it's like, oh my god, we're the best. Next week it's like, what the hell? One week we're the best, and next week it's like, what the heck? It's just, it's like flip flopping every week. But I guess I can be glad that we won this game, because it seemed like Harbaugh didn't really want us to win this game, with his not going for it or not challenging the freaking play calls, or not the play calls, the calls where we got the first downs or whatever. Obviously we got the two like lucky or non penalties early in the game, the Justin Herbert hit and then the fair
Yeah.
catch hit, that we didn't get called on. So maybe that was the makeup calls or whatever. But I don't know. We did a lot of things to lose, but we did just enough to win. So at least offensively, in my opinion. So that's really all I gotta say about the offense.
Yeah, and I guess that, save the best for last. That goes into the defense,
Mm-hmm.
and I just want to say, they're ball hawking. They're fast. They were very physical in this game. They forced 3 fumbles.
Mm-hmm.
This play sensational. And like I said at the beginning of this video, you hold the Chargers to 10 points with all the weapons they have. That's a real accomplishment. And you can say what you want about, us having OBJ, Zay, Keaton Mitchell, Lamar. That seems to be our real weapon, to really rely on as we head towards the end of the season is our defense.
Yep.
And we're going to go against a gauntlet. I mean, we're going to go against teams that also have potent offenses and pretty good defenses. And we're really going to be tested. And I feel like, especially against the Dolphins, is the defense really going to be tested? Tyreek Hill, Jalen Waddle, Tua always seems to get them both 100 yards receiving every game. So, the defense is definitely going to be tested in the offense. And I can't wait to see,
Right.
So just kudos to the defense. Just keep going. I think they're allowing like 15 points a game, which is like incredible. Just I'm very proud. I'm very proud. I'm very proud of Mike McDonald. He's
Yep.
he's a wizard, like you said. He's a wizard.
Yep.
So that's just my takes on the defense.
Yeah, the defense did play one of its better games. One of the biggest. I felt like we didn't. We got 3 sacks on Herbert in this game, but one of the biggest things was not to let plays be extended. I thought the trenches played way better today than they did the last 2 weeks. I didn't think honestly that the last 2 weeks, meaning the Browns and Bengals, was probably our worst defensive performances of the year, in my opinion. I just didn't really think they were playing very well. Up until when Burrow went out, I thought that was probably going to be a shootout, maybe. So I just think that the defense really had a good bounce back game. They were forcing a lot of turnovers. Were they for how many turnovers did they force? 4 or 5?
I think about 4. I think about
4.
4. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was. Let me see. It says 1 fumble. I don't know why it's saying 1 fumble. Trying to see. Okay, 1 interception and they forced like I think it was 4 turnovers. I think it was 3 fumbles, 3 fumbles and 1 interception. So, you know, just they were like you said, fast, physical. They were just ready for it. And like I said, a bounce back game for them after uh what's it called? Like 2 kind of weak performances in the Bengals and Browns games. So give them an A+, including Kyle Hamilton. Let's
Oh
talk
yeah.
about him. He's a freaking beast. Like he is so good. And he is just like becoming an all pro right before our eyes. Pro bowler, all pro, all first team, whatever the heck you can bring up, all whatever. Like all Slenderman team, because he's lanky and tall, but he's really becoming a beast and a guy that I want to see in Baltimore forever. Him and Linderbaum probably EDC's best picks at the moment. So he's had EDC's had a pretty successful draft. Last few years. You got Zay this year,
Yeah.
and then the 2020 draft. It's really developed nice. I think we had what did we had like not Stevens. We had like Queen and Matabike. I think we had drafted Broderick Washington that year too, if I'm not mistaken. But
Dude,
huh?
I mean, Duve's still up
Oh,
there.
yeah,
So
dude. Yeah, James Prochet is doing what he's doing. But
photography.
but he needs to be doing that. but anyways, like we and then Matabike is a guy we got to pay too. So we got to pay Matabike. That's why I'm saying get rid of Ryan Stanley and find some other way to get a replacement because we got interior men we need to pay. On the defensive side. So, anyways, to get into the stats, unless you had anything, do you have anything else to say?
No, we can get into the stats.
Great. Well, Roquan Smith had 8 total tackles. 5 of them were solo. He had 1 pass deflection. Patrick Queen had 7 total tackles. 5 of them were solo. 1 tackle for loss and 1 pass deflection. Geno Stone had 7 total tackles. 4 of them were solo. Brandon Stevens had 6 total tackles. 6 of them were solo. 1 pass deflection. Kyle Hamilton, the guy we were just raving about, had 6 total tackles. 4 of them were solo. 2 tackles for losses and 1 pass deflection. Marcus Williams starting to get a little bit healthier, has 5 total tackles. 2 of them were solo. 1 pass deflection. Michael Pierce has 4 total tackles. 2 of them were solo. Kyle Van Noy had 3 total tackles. 3 of them were solo. 1 pass deflection. And he also had that sick pass breakup where he like jumped up in the air with the one hand. I don't know if you remember that. Was on a 3rd down. That was sick. That was awesome. Jadeveon Clowney had 3 total tackles. 2 of them were solo. He had 1 sack, and 2 QB hits. And he's really starting to he's just turning out to be a really good signing for us. Late in the year, nice little veteran pass rusher. He's been huge. Brent Urban has 2 total tackles. 2 of them were solo. He has no, he didn't have a sack. Sorry. Ronald Darby has 2 total tackles. 2 of them are solo. Odafe Owe has 2 total tackles. 2 of them are solo. He has a tackle for loss. I feel like he just missed out on a sack. Travis Jones has 2 total tackles. He has a half a sack and a QB hit. Broderick Washington has 1 total tackle. 1 of them were solo. He has a sack, 1 tackle for loss, and 2 QB hits. I want to say that's Broderick Washington's first sack of the season, if I'm not mistaken. See if you can fact check that for me.
Yeah.
Daryl Worley has 1 total tackle. 1 of them are solo. 1 pass deflection. Arthur Millette has 1 total tackle. One of them is solo, and he has a pass deflection. And like I said, Matabike only has the 1 tackle, but he did record half a sack. And he has 3 QB hits. And he is up to 10 sacks this year. Turnovers in the game. Arthur Millette has an interception. And then obviously we had the sack fumbles, I believe. I don't remember who caused them. Do you remember who caused them? I know Jadeveon Clowney caused one in the red zone for them early in the game. I don't remember who recorded the fumbles, but like we were saying earlier, defense played lights out in this game. Huh?
Yeah.
PQ and Roquan. PQRS. They alphabetical brothers. I like that. That sign was funny. But me and you really like that. The one we saw on Thursday Night Football. So whoever that is, you that was a good sign. But like I was saying, defense was lights out. They were really the closer in this game, which was really important. Because the offense was lacking a little bit. But kudos to the defense for finishing the job. Obviously we had blown leads last year, so we were traumatized going with a 4th quarter lead. I just want to mention real quick that these videos will be separated into 2 from now on. Like we're not doing a breakdown and then a pregame show. We'll save that for another video. But something I wanted to bring up that you had mentioned earlier was Justin Tucker. I missed another kick, and it wasn't blocked. It wasn't no win, no nothing. It's just he missed, and I mean, I'm getting concerned about him. Like I'm gonna let you talk before I go ahead and spill what I have to say first.
Yeah, we definitely love Tuck, and we definitely have loved all the clutch kicks that he's made for us over the years. Like that game against Denver, and many other games. But this season is starting to concern me too. It seems like he's kind of regressing a little bit. I mean, and he is getting up there in age, but I'm starting to worry. Can we trust him in those clutch situations?
Right.
Like we once did. And a part of it is on the Ravens. I mean, it always seems like we have to get them in like 51-yard field goal positions or like really long field goal positions. I mean, which we shouldn't really put on them all the time. But you know, I would say like 5 years ago, 3 years ago, he was automatic. It didn't matter. And especially against the Lions, that 61-yard field goal that he pulled off. I mean, we still had a lot of faith in him that he would make it just because he's Tuck, but it seems like that's kind of going away now. And we definitely need. I think this definitely shows us that we need to start moving the ball and having urgency. When it's needed. We can't rely. Putting Tuck in a range in a situation to kick a 54-yard field goal because that's not easy. Just because he's Justin Tucker doesn't mean he's automatically going to make it.
Right.
It's not easy to do, and we shouldn't, do that. We should make it as easy for him as possible. If we're at like our 10-yard line and we throw a Hail Mary or something and it gets to the 56 and that's all we can do, then okay, so be it. But if we have a chance to get him more yards or just get something better than the field goal in general, we have to have that urgency to do that. We can't put him in these positions like this because it seems like, he's not, 100% automatic like how he once was.
Right.
And that's no shot to him,
Right.
but it
Older.
happens. Yep.
Yeah. Just getting older, I mean, he used to stop eating at Royal Farms, he's always in the Royal Farms commercial. All that Rofo, So- but no, in all
Like a Lodi
seriousness.
Nada.
Yeah, that's why he got suspended that one time. They probably thought he had some all that grease in it. They probably thought it was some performance enhancing drugs.
I can see what I would make him play better, but okay.
Anyways, yeah, I just really hope he's not falling off because it's not easy to find kickers. It would be really upsetting if we went through another Billy Cundiff situation or something, where it's like we have a good team, but it gets let down to the kicker and then he misses last minute, So I hope this is just an off year for Tucker. Maybe he'll bounce back next year. But I mean, he hasn't really been his best this year, in my opinion. I don't know how much of that is confidence wise, but just kind of upsetting. And I'm getting sad about it because I don't want him to be gone. He's really been so clutch for us, over the years. And I kind of feel kind of bad because he hasn't really been put in the playoffs like that. I mean, if you think about it, 2012, he's only been put in the playoffs in 2012, 14, 18, 19, 20, and 22, but he's played like he's played 10 years at this point, 11 years, and he hasn't really had that big playoff kick since like 2012, so I feel like that could help his resume out a little bit better, for the Hall of Fame or whatever. But that's kind of I'm trying to think. I think they mentioned a stat in the game where he's under 80, under 90% now in his career for the first time ever. So that's not fun. So that's not
I
fun.
mean, but it's funny because we talk about him, possibly regressing and all of this. I mean, and when you really think about it, he's only missed 5 kicks, this year out of
Right.
26 attempts. So I mean, but still, I feel like it's a valid question,
Right.
So
I
yeah.
don't think he's washed. Like I don't think I mean, he could
Yeah.
be regressing. That comes with age. He's 34, which isn't that old, but he's been in the league since 2012. So, we're just gonna have to see. I mean, maybe it's just not the greatest year for him. Maybe he'll bounce back next year. But like I said, we're just gonna have to see. And that's really all I gotta say about that.
Yeah, and that is one of the final, I guess, points we had in this video. It was just a good win on the road, a very impressive statement from the defense, and we have a gauntlet coming up next against teams that all have winning records. They're
Yep.
all 5 or at least 4 or 5 games above 500. So
Right.
definitely gonna be battle tested, and hopefully we can end 14-3. You
Yep.
know. So
Yeah, much needed break here for the Ravens.
yeah, yep. Heal up, rest up, and let's get it going. So is
Yep.
there anything else you have to say?
Nope.
All right. Well, that's all the
Oh,
content
we
we have.
are going to the game, right?
Oh yeah, yep. How could I forget? We are going to the game, the Rams game next Sunday. So we're gonna be posting a lot on our Twitter and Instagram there. But that's all the content we have for you guys today at here at Birds of Prey. Make sure you check out our social medias. Make sure you check out our other channel, Casual Cinema. We'll be dropping on there every Friday. And we're TJ and Jared, and we're out.
Right.